Wisdom matters. Does wisdom matter to you? Does it really? Do you really understand what wisdom is? Now, one possible definition of wisdom is valuing the things that you have today. Valuing the things in our life that you have right now. We're not seeking to covet some other item, like, oh, my neighbor's got a Tesla, I need a Tesla. It's to say, I've got family and that matters to me. I've got this understanding of my purpose, of my passion. That's what matters to me. What matters to you? What matters to you? In this world, we look at things that don't matter, things that we get all excited about and upset about because of a small populace. And yes, we should be aware of it, but we tend to then overblow it and say, the whole world's going to pot. One thing I learned when I was with John Maxwell in Guatemala, as we were training 20,000 leaders, what matters is in our world, in our control. If we do things right in our world, if we live the right life, if we rid ourselves of the negativity in our own world, in our own family, in our own life, and lived in positivity, that would have a ripple effect beyond your family. It would ripple and would create a tidal wave. Because how does that create a tidal wave? Normally one person, if you throw a rock into a lake, it creates that ripple and fades out over time. But if you get a lot of people throwing rocks into the lake, it creates ripples and creates a little bit of a wave. And the more people live into a positive life, the more it creates the wave across the world. So it might be simplistic. There's a lot of other cultural differences. There's a lot of culture barriers. As it was put, we look at from space, we don't see geographic boundaries. We don't see differences in skin. We don't see differences in a whole lot of things, right? We see one world, one united world living together in what should be harmony. How are you living in harmony? It's been said that 90 to 95% of the people on this planet do not have a clear idea of their purpose. And sometimes it takes 40, 50 years of your life to find your purpose. Some people don't find their purpose ever. Some may find it earlier. But there's a lot of people around the world, and you may be one of these, that are still looking for what is meaningful in your life. What brings you fulfillment? And you're wondering, well, how do I determine my purpose? What matters to me? So you're asking yourself then to seek the wisdom. You're seeking the wisdom, and you're saying, I really wonder. You say to yourself, because sometimes you say, I really wonder what matters. What matters to me? And it may change over time, absolutely, because you've changed as a person. You've hopefully grown from your earlier ideas of what mattered to a more mature idea of what matters. Maybe there's something that you would like to understand, but you're not sure what it means. What does it mean in your life? Why does it matter? First of all, what is it? Why does it matter? And how are you going to live with it? So wisdom is about valuing thoughts. Thoughts are things. So valuing things, valuing the people, everything is, in essence, a thing. It is an object. It is an It is an idea. It is a burgeoning plant, if you want to say. If it's a seedling coming to life, every flower has some value because it provides life. The bee comes and takes the pollen and populates another bud, and creates this life force. I'm looking at my notes, and let's look at it this way. John Maxwell said, how do you identify your purpose? Here's 3 things that you can think about. What do you dream about? What do you sing about? What do you cry about? Do you dream about yourself having grown and matured and leaving a legacy, leaving something of value to somebody else? For them to have a leg up, to give them the baton to carry on and improve. Do you think of things that make you happy, that you sing about, that you're so ecstatic that you have in your life? What do you cry about? Is there something that's missing? Or you see an injustice. So what you may be singing about is that you have something that you have triumphed on. And that's something maybe because it also is a cry because other people didn't have that chance. Or people that deserve an opportunity to explore that. And so that becomes your purpose, to be able to say, I made it and I want to share it. I was listening to Clint Rogers on TEDx Wilmington a couple days ago, and his talk was on this idea of purpose. Now, there's many ways of getting at it, and there's many ways to trigger the mind to start focusing. So go silent. Sit still. Get the mind focused to shut out everything else. You may say, what thrills me? What motivates me? What fulfills me? What are the things that bring me joy? What do I want to see? Maybe that's what you need to take a look at. And do that every day until you get an answer. Sit for 10 minutes. Sit for hours. Clint Rogers was saying that he took his dad to an Indian doctor, a doctor of Indian descent. And that doctor has been known to be able to help people immediately in a short diagnosis time figure out what's out of harmony. So if your body, if your mind, if your whole being represents, and science and others have shown this to be true, that we are a subset of the universe composition. The energy that flows through the universe flows through us. If you want to get into energy, if you want to focus on crystals, that's what you want to do. But know this. If you are not in harmony with your values, if you're not in harmony with what has been provided to you, if you are not in harmony with the good, then you are out of harmony. And when you are out of harmony, you cannot reach what you want to accomplish. So think about it this way. If you know you had $100 million in the bank, if you know you had $100 million in the bank, what would you do with the rest of your life? What would you be? What would you do? I had $100 million today, what would you do? Now, that's a really hard question, I think, because you might say, well, I would spend some of it, I would give some to some people. But what would you do? What would you be? How would that give you a leg up? Sometimes you may say, and I've heard you say this, I don't have enough money. If I only had money, I would do this. Well, suppose all your needs are taken care of, all your financial needs are taken care of. $100 million are in your bank account. What would you do? What would you be? Now, if the money is a really hard idea, look at it as another question. What would you do? What would you be if you only had 6 months to live? If you know that you only have 6 months to live, what would you do? What would you be? Would you just give up and sit on the beach? Or would you say, I know I have these many days and they're so precious and time is precious and I have something yet to deliver to the world. And if I do that, I will be fulfilled. We don't know when our dot becomes a dash, when our dot keeps moving along our timeline and then stops and then just flatlines for there out. Can you think of your timeline like a heartbeat? You know, all the way down until some point where it becomes a flat line. Until some point where it no longer beeps, no longer moves, and it's just flat. What would you do? What would you be if you knew you had 1 day to live? You still have an opportunity. How would you end this day? So we live with a purpose that we are in search of, or sometimes it's just blocked from us. We don't even think into it. We think into being something, but we don't know what. And we spend years trying to find that. Or someday a light bulb comes on, some life experience happens, and boom, you now figure out what you want to do. For me, there were many little spots along the way that I saw some point of change in my life, a turning point. Those turning points led to a bigger turning point, which led to a bigger turning point, which led to finally a point of significance. And I've talked about this. You can look back. The significance was a point where I saw that I matter, that I had something to give to another. Welcome, Lisa. And we're just wrapping up on wisdom matters. And wisdom is valuing the things in your life that you have now. What are the things that you would be or do? What would you take to the step today if you had $100 million in the bank? If you only knew you had 6 months to live? If you only knew that you had today to live? Sit in the silence of the quiet. For Clint Rogers at TEDx, he mentioned that he was told he could not speak for 10 days, for 10 days. That's a long time to be with yourself. But he was in so much noise. He was creating so much noise. He was jibber-jabbering. He was filling his day with words. And Dr. Naram said, I have nothing to learn from you. You have so much noise. Learn from peace. Learn from quiet. Now, it's very challenging to do that. But sit still. And there's many ways to get to it, into the murmur, and tap on this for 6 times and close your eyes, take a deep breath. But focus your mind. It doesn't matter the process to get there. However it works for you. Take a moment. And sit in a quiet place. Close off your thoughts. Close down every thought that you are thinking and focus on what makes you fulfilled. What brings joy to your life? Is it money? Is it a job? Is it doing something? Or is there something greater that you are called to do? Get the mind working on solutions. Don't shut it down. And just let the brain dump out. Let it flow. Don't say, well, I can't do that. Or, no, that doesn't sound right. Don't evaluate them. Just sit, be quiet, and concentrate on what your brain is telling you. If your brain is aligned with your heart, you'll hear the heart actually talking through your brain. Reflect on those. Seek counsel, seek a coach, seek someone to then explore what your mind has told you in that silence. And do well to then work on your purpose. So if you only have 6 months, if you have $100 million in the bank, if you have a dollar in the bank, if you have no money in the bank, what would you do? What would you become? If all your other needs were taken care of and all you had to worry about, all you had to focus on, all you had to be concerned about was doing or being something, what would bring you fulfillment? That's the question for this weekend. I'll be back to take a look at it, but ask those questions to yourself. Welcome, Jen. Glad you could join at the tail end here. I'm glad you could take the time to check out what this conversation was about. You might have to catch the recording now, but look at what brings you fulfillment and start working on that. Your harmony will be back into your body, your mind, your purpose. Everything you do from this point forward will be focused on that and focused in on delivering something that brings you joy, brings you fulfillment, brings you something that ties in to why you're here and what you can do for others. Be well. Enjoy today, the rest of Friday. And if I don't see you for the weekend, all my friends in Wisconsin, Florida, and beyond, I'll see you soon. Take care.